Have you ever wondered how a politician's family can go from having almost nothing to being worth millions in just a single year? Or what's really going on when a former president's comments swing from the Nobel Prize all the way to buying Greenland? Well, today we are breaking down two very different but equally fascinating political stories.
So, we're going to look at the kind of intense financial scrutiny that public figures can find themselves under, especially when a family's wealth just explodes out of nowhere. And then we're going to deconstruct a classic exchange with Donald Trump that covers everything from international awards to his own peacemaking record and, yeah, that long-running interest in Greenland.
First up, we'll get into the numbers behind the investigation into Representative Ilhan Omar's family finances. Then we'll switch gears and look at former President Trump's recent comments that have been making headlines, including that very curious question about Greenland.
Okay, let's dive right into this first story. It all revolves around some really big questions about the fast-growing wealth of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and her husband. And, it's a situation that has definitely caught the eye of congressional investigators.
So this whole thing really kicks off with this number, just $42. According to reports, an investment firm that Omar's husband co-founded back in 2022 started out with a bank account balance of just $42. I mean, you can't really start much smaller than that.
But then you get this. A single year later, in the Congresswoman's 2024 financial disclosure, that very same firm was valued at up to $25 million. That is, to put it mildly, a massive jump that has raised a lot of eyebrows in Washington.
And it's not just the public that's surprised. This kind of explosive growth has drawn some serious skepticism, even from people who know them. One associate was actually quoted in a news report just expressing total disbelief, saying it's simply not possible, and that Omar's husband isn't known for being a money guy.
So, of course, this kind of sudden wealth accumulation doesn't go unnoticed by officials. Let's get into the official investigation and see exactly how this is building. Because in Washington, financial scrutiny is just a constant reality for elected officials. So the House Oversight Committee, which is led by Chairman James Comer, has officially launched a probe into what they are calling the skyrocketing family wealth. They basically have one big question. How did this couple go from being described as nearly broke to having this multi-million-dollar valuation so quickly? And they're even thinking about taking a pretty big step, potentially issuing a subpoena for Omar's husband to get some answers. Now, while all of this is unfolding and the committee is asking its questions, Representative Omar's position has been absolutely firm. She has consistently and very defiantly denied any wrongdoing at all in this matter. All right, we're making a hard turn here, from financial probes to verbal fireworks. Let's switch gears and unpack a whole series of wide-ranging comments from former President Donald Trump, all delivered in his signature style during a recent chat with the press. So this all started with a question about the Nobel Peace Prize. The former president said he'd lost a lot of respect for Norway, and his reason was pretty blunt. I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. It's a really direct claim that basically ties the entire country to the committee that hands out that famous award. Then he shifted to his own track record on peacemaking, and he made this claim that he had personally settled 8 different wars while he was in office. To give that some context, he argued that, quote, no president's probably ever settled one war, which really positions his own record as something totally unprecedented. And it wasn't just about the past either. He also talked about what's happening right now, saying he's actively working to try and broker an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine, and he made a point to mention the really tragic human cost of that conflict. And all of that led to this really fascinating final moment in the conversation. It turned to a topic that you might remember Trump has shown a lot of interest in before, the huge, strategically important island of Greenland. So, picking up on this well-known interest of his, a reporter just went for it and asked him point-blank, how far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland? A very direct question about a pretty unconventional idea. Now, instead of some long, detailed policy answer, or even just brushing the question off, former President Trump gave this very brief, 2-word reply: you'll find out. It's a classic, mysterious response that's really characteristic of his style, right? It leaves everything totally open to interpretation. So, on one hand, you have an official investigation into a family's personal finances, and on the other, you have this series of globe-spanning remarks that grab headlines. It really makes you think, right? What do these two very different stories, one about wealth, the other about words, really tell us about the kinds of questions and the kinds of pressures our political leaders are facing today?